Today what I'm going to do is try a new way of decorating my pots or Resincrete pots once they're all nice and cured. I've got a selection here of pots that I'm going to try. I'm going to try different methods as well with each one, and I'm hoping at least one of them's going to work and look amazing. So first thing I need to do is make my pots, and that is really easy to do. If you've not used Resincrete before, then this is well worth watching, and if you have, then just skip to the next bit. First of all, you need to decide which units that you're going to be using to measure out, and I'm going to be using grams. And don't forget, Resincrete is eco water based. It's all natural product here. So I've got 500 grams of Resincrete powder mixed out. So that means I need 150 grams of water, because it's always 30 grams of water to 100 grams of Resincrete. So there we go. I've got 150 grams of water. And because Resincrete is a really thin mixture when it's mixed up, unlike some of the other eco resins that are out there, what you'll find is this will lose its bubbles really, really quickly, and you won't get a bubbly finish. All you need to do is mix this up until you've got a lovely smooth paste and you've no longer got any lumps in it. And if you do find you're getting lumps, then just knock that Resincrete to the side as you're mixing like this, and that way it will help get rid of any of those lumps. And it mixes really, really quickly. And the other great thing about Resincrete is you can demold it after 30 minutes. But if you've got a really intricate mold with lots of fine details and thin bits on, then I wouldn't do that. I would wait a little bit longer, normally about 3 or 4 hours. And then that way that will be cured up a little bit tougher and you won't get the little bits breaking off. So I'm all done now, and I'm ready to pour that out. And when you pour your Resincrete, if you pour it onto a board like this, it makes life a lot easier. This is one of the tips that I always show people and always use. Because that way you can just take your board and you can give it a bit of a shake like this, and that'll get your Resincrete into everywhere that you want it. And then you can give it a little bit of squidgy widgy if you need to. And the other great thing is you can then move your board somewhere else while this is curing, and you can get on and make something else in that area. I've still got some Resincrete left over, so I'm going to choose something else. Let's make a dish. They're always very popular. And then you can top up once you're happy with it, and leave that to cure. Any overpour, now I've got a little bit of overpour there. I'll show you how to deal with that at the end. These are all cured now, and I left them to cure for about 4 hours, because that way I am less likely to break them when I take them out of the actual mold. This is the one I did a little overpour on, but it was only a thin overpour, so it's not going to make too much difference. It should just break off while I'm taking it out of the mould. And don't forget, you can sand Resincrete and scrape it away. Oh, look at that. I love that little hand. It's so cute. Now these moulds, when they've got really thin sides like this, you need to be quite careful with them. And again, not a single bubble anywhere. And that is the benefit of using Resincrete over these thicker ones that trap the bubbles. There we go. Now I've just turned that mould inside out. I think that would make a really nice pot inside out. Definitely, I'm going to try that again later. Though we've got a little bit of glitter in there. There must have been some glitter stuck in the mould that I hadn't noticed. Not cleaning me moulds out properly, people. Now, they've come out really nice, so you could paint those if you wanted to with normal paint, but I'm going to do something slightly different with them first, and so that means I need to seal these before I do anything else. And what I seal them with is a matte polyacrylic varnish. I'll link the one I use in the description below. Now, I found that this seals any of these sorts of things, including plaster of Paris, so it's well worth doing. I mix up, so if you look in that pot there, I've got 1/3 of water and then 2/3 of the polyacrylic. And the reason I do it in a pot like this is then I can label it and I can keep using it over and over again. I just give it a bit of a shake as well to make sure that it's all mixed in, and then I can paint it on. Now, I do 2 coats of this, and I find that that is enough, and it really does seal it well, because it absorbs into it and then leaves a little bit of the polyacrylic on the surface. Shown in a video as well, the before, the actual difference, and it makes a massive difference. Now, I'm going to seal the whole thing, both inside and out, the same as these. I'm going to seal them over. Now you'll find that this dries really, really quickly on your first coat, because actually it's just soaking straight into this. But make sure that your items are fully cured as well before you're doing this. So put them in a warm area, or make sure that they're sealed right the way through. And it's very easy just to paint on. And because this dries completely clear as well, if you want to leave things the white colour that they are, then you can, because it will just make it nice and white. Forming pots are lovely and dry, and they should be well sealed now. And what I'm going to try is to see if I can do some marbling on these, and then let it dry and see what that looks like. Now, I haven't tried this, so this is real testing in real time. I'm going to use 3 different mediums. One, I'm going to use the shaving foam method, and if you don't know what that is, then be sure to check that one out, because it is amazing. It looks brilliant on paper as well. I don't know if it's going to work on Resincrete. 2, I'm going to use these really cheap marbling inks. And then 3, I'm going to use these very brilliant PBO, I'm not sure how it's said, marbling inks as well. But when you use these, you have to mix up the water using this powder base first and leave it for 2 hours before you do anything with it. So first one I'm going to be using these PBO inks for, and what I'm going to be doing is just popping those on the top like this, going all the way around. And these are a little bit more expensive than the other ones, but I do usually get a really good finish with this. Well, on paper. I don't know what it's like on Resincrete. So that looks quite good. Quite like that pattern on there. I'm not going to do too much mixing around with this, because what I'm going to do is just dip my thing in it now like that, and hopefully that will have picked up that colour. Oh, and it has. It really has picked it up brilliantly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave that there and let that dry, and then we can come back to it and have a look in a minute. And what I'm going to do is just change my water, ready for the next one. So this is the next one I'm going to do, and I'm going to try it with this vase, and this is again the PBO one. I'm going to move my vase down there slowly like that. Let it fill up, and then take that off. Pop that there. Now, I wonder if I would have been better off making these, or trying to do these without sealing them first, so that they were porous, because it all seems to be running off here at the moment. You get a beautiful colour and then you run off. So I'm going to recast these as well, and then not seal them, and we can do a comparison between the two. Well, I've recast them, and they're in my tumbler curing dry machine, so that I get them speeded up. But while that's doing that, what I'm going to do is carry on with these, just to see. Now, these are the really cheap ones, and you use these on top of water again, like this. You need to give these a really good shake before you use them, and you don't need to add anything to your water for these. All you do is like this, just put it straight on top of the water. Now, these don't tend to move around as much, but they do tend to sit on the water a little bit better. I think that's because these have definitely got more oil in them, because you can smell the oil in these ones where you can't in the other ones. Let's give this a bit of a move around, so we've got more of a marbly effect. Don't get any white in this one. And now we can take our item. Actually, we'll use a flat item for this. We can take our item and try and get that on there. And it's, again, it's not really sticking on there. I think it's because I sealed them. Now, I always seal them before I paint them, but look, that's not doing anything. So again, not a success. So we're going to need to see whether it's a success without the sealing on it. I've never had much success with those cheaper ones, if I'm completely honest, even with paper. And this next method is one of the methods that I absolutely love. I've got a video on my other channel about this and how to do it with paper. All you need is some shaving foam, and you don't need expensive shaving foam. The cheapest shaving foam you can buy is all you need. And you put a bit down like this, and this will last for ages, and you'll get a lot of prints out of it. When I do it on a whole bit of paper, I do it across the whole thing. Oh, it smells delicious. Smooth that out. Oh, it looks good enough to eat, but don't eat it. So there we go. And now all we need is a little bit of acrylic paint, and you put it on randomly, all your colours like this. And you don't need any special acrylic paints for this, or expensive acrylic paints. You can do this with the cheapest acrylic paints you've got. And I am going to put a little bit of black in this one, because I think sometimes that gives it the contrast you need in places. I think this is going to work much better with the more flatter items like this, to be honest, but I'm not 100% sure, so that's why I kept one of the little tiny bowls back. Okay, and then when you're happy with that, what you do is you take something, I'm taking the end of a paintbrush here, And all I'm doing is marbling that up now in my shaving foam. There we go. And then you place your pot over the top or whatever you're using and then lift it out. Probably not the best one to do it with because the better ones are the cheaper ones. And then you leave it like that. This one, all I'm going to do is roll it through the shaving foam like that. Okay, and then all you have to do is take something like this and scrape your shaving foam off, and that should leave your paint behind. And we'll leave them to dry. Now that seems to have picked up on them quite well. Let's do this one. You can use a credit card or anything that you want to remove your shaving foam and then let that dry. So now we've got all 5 done. What we'll do is we'll leave them to cure. We'll wait for those other ones to cure and then we'll test them without sealing them first. So these are all dry enough now and I haven't sealed these to try again. And hopefully we will get a better result. And I've mixed the powder into it this time as well, and that should allow for those colours to sit on the top, and that way we should get a better marbling effect from it. Now I'm going to try and do the same too. Yeah, it definitely looks like it's sitting better on the top now with using those powders, so I think we should get a better colour, a more intense colour. So that should be enough. And now I can take something and just marble that up a little bit like that. And then we should be able to just push this through and get those colours to stick on there. Oh, and that definitely looks more intense already. And all that colour has stayed on the top as well. So it means I can use the other one to do exactly the same thing in there as well. And we can just let them dry. So now we're going to do the one where you don't need to have anything added to it at all. We're just going to put the colours on the top. And now we've got our colours on there. We'll just marble that up a bit. And then we can use our hand, which is what we used before. We can let that dry. And now we'll quickly prepare our shaving foam and our paints. And we can test the other one on that as well. Now we've got our paints on there, we can marble this up like that. Pop this on there. Give it a bit of a wiggle. Okay, and take it off. And now we can scrape this paint off and we'll see what we're left with. So I've done both of them. I'm just going over it now with my silicone brush and scraping this foam off. Let's do this one. I did leave it about 3 or 4 minutes before I started to scrape off so that this paint had time to embed itself into the Resincrete. And we'll let all those dry and then we can do a comparison of them and see which ones work the best. These are all dry now, so let's take a look at them. I definitely don't like the shaving foam one. There isn't really a great deal of difference in whether you seal them or not, but I don't think they come out looking great, but they may look different when they're gloss varnished. This one's the PBO marbling paints, and it just seemed to not absorb into it or stay onto it. There is a light marbling on it, but nothing major. Where when I did it without sealing first, they've come out really quite colourful. And these are the cheap ones, which are the oil paints. Now, with the sealed one, it just kind of didn't do anything. But actually, I really quite like the way that hand has come out. I'm going to give them a quick varnish, all of them, with some yacht varnish spray. Now, whenever you're varnishing anything like this, make sure you're working in a well-ventilated space. I like to varnish inside of the box because that way it kind of catches it, doesn't make a mess everywhere. I will also be wearing a mask while I do this to ensure that I'm not breathing anything in. Just give your spray a little shake and then you can go over it like this. These have all finished drying now and the varnish has gone really nice and hard and it's coated them. The varnish absolutely brings out those colours and gives it a really nice effect. It is definitely better done without sealing it first, which is surprising to me, but there you go, you learn something new every day. Now I like this one, and this is the one that was done with the PBO marbling paint. I will link them in the description below. Inside it's come out quite pretty and all the sides have come out quite pretty, and I think that's the most successful one. The method using the paints, I just don't like that. I mean, I just don't like it. It didn't work. Although the oil paint, when I did it on the one that wasn't sealed, this is the sealed one, this is the non-sealed one, those oil cheaper paint, I think that has come out really, really pretty too. I love that effect. Look at that, how pretty that is. And again, the little bowls, they haven't come out very well at all. So definitely a disaster, those ones. So the only methods I would say that worked are the little oil marbling paint and the PBO ones. You can do marbling with Resincrete and mix in your colours and marble it. And I've done that and shown that in a few videos previously. I love Resincrete. Let me know if you've done any marbling using methods similar to this on something like Resincrete. I'd love to know. And if you want to learn some great techniques and tips and tricks using things like Resincrete, then check out this video coming up now. Boot the like button, hit that subscribe button, but most of all, enjoy your resin. Take care. Bye.